Boss lady.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stasia, and I have the privilege of being here with World Boss Media, and we will be talking to Mr. Everold Reid. Now, Mr. Reid is well known for his sales strategies and his motivational speaking. He's authored several books that focus on sales techniques, professional development skills, and all things to attain success. Now, his commitment extends far beyond the business. He is a mentor to young professionals and helping them to unlock their true potential. World Boss Media welcomes Mr. Reid today as we delve deeper into who he is, discovering his why, or how he found his why, and where you can find more of his phenomenal work. Mr. Reid, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic.
That's
and
good.
Thank you for the great intro.
Of course, it's only the truth. You look awesome. Just wanted to get that out the way. Cool socks.
Likewise, you said. Well,
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to get into just talking a bit about your background. I think a lot of us can be fascinated with success stories, but we don't truly take in what we have to put in the work to get that success. So tell us a bit about your background, your upbringing before you even got into automotive sales.
I think that's where the foundation actually was formed.
Yeah.
And that was probably before I even knew it. Was growing up in Jamaica with my aunts and great grandmother, because it's a typical thing there where, my mom came to Canada earlier to make a better life, and then I joined her later, but I grew up with my grandparents and my aunt. So the discipline and the fundamentals from there, I learned a lot of independence, especially at a very young age. From learning to cook to ironing my clothes.
All at like 3 years old.
All those things well before in my in my early years. And I think those disciplines laid a solid foundation for what potentially success could become. So when I immigrated to Canada, one of the first things I did very shortly after, I walked into a Toyota store, and I was 18 years old, turning 19 the following month, and they hired me. I was just looking for a summer job, as I alluded to in the book. I was actually, my passion was more to become an airline pilot. And so I'm still all things aviation right now. That's my absolute hobby.
Okay.
But walking into that Toyota store, I was actually surprised they even hired me at such a young age. But then a year after that, I was able to transition to another Toyota store. Something clicked in the second year. And after that second year, there was an opportunity to move to a new store. And that was going to become, little did I know, the pathway to more of a ultimate or bigger success path for me. So I walked into that store, and so I have a scheduled interview with the manager to go to the store, and I show up there, and a completely different person comes out and greets me, and this person went on to be my mentor, and I even dedicated a part of the book to him, and he's since passed away. But this story is phenomenal. Like, he comes out and he says, "Hey, who are you waiting for?" And I said, "Oh, I'm waiting for Bob," and it was Bob, actually, the sales manager, for an interview. He goes, "Come on in, we'll sit down and shoot the breeze for a bit, or come on in for a second," he said. So I went into this man's office. I knew he was somebody important, but we got off having a conversation in his office, and I don't think we talked anything about work or me being hired in sales. And I actually left that meeting without doing the interview, because he and I had just made this immediate connection, and from family to life to aspirations. And I had to call back to say, hang on a second, do I have the job? Because I wasn't sure. I'm like, I didn't even do the interview. So from there, so I was hired, and I became, so I sold for a year or two there, maybe a year and a half. And one day he pulls me aside, whatever reasons, and he pulls me in the office, and he says, "Everold, we're going to make you assistant sales manager.
Wow.
And I go, what? So I asked the question, am I going to make less money? You always heard in sales the philosophy that if you're a good salesperson, you can make more than the managers. Right? So a year into that relationship, that sales manager left, and I was then thrusted into the full capacity in my very early 20s at 23, running a big Toyota store. And that was, we had also just acquired Lexus. It was a significant opportunity, and timing was pretty significant, because this was the birth of Lexus as a corporation in Canada in basically 1990.
That's incredible. So it sounds like you propelled within such a short amount of time. Well, I would say a short amount of time, especially just coming to Canada and just stepping out there. I heard several, but what would you say was your first major breakthrough?
I think the breakthrough was from that very first meeting with Paul, and he was the GM and partner. But it was years later that I realized what the breakthrough had been. And then the second was, I was selling a car on the showroom floor, and it was outside his office, and there was a hallway, but he could hear. And I remember there was a client there, she's like, tell me why I should buy this car for more money, or I should pay $10,000 more for this Toyota than the Mazda. And I calmly told her, and she bought it, right? And I know he heard that, he overheard it. I think the key breakthrough or takeaway from that was I developed an early ability to communicate with people at a deep level, to overcome objections, even when it was, insurmountable for others.
Because I know in the beginning you were saying, I was wondering why they hired me or why they hired me. So they saw that in you before you even recognized it first.
Yeah, well, I was young, inexperienced, knew nothing about automotive sales, but I just knew that I was a people person, and I think I was able to figure out the rest from there.
Right. Yeah. So what habits or routines did you kind of garner to ensure that you would continue being as great as you are now?
I adapted deeply personal development as a principle, and as a philosophy.
Right. There's a quote, it's like, people won't really talk to you until they know you care.
Yeah.
So it's like, are you connecting? Are you showing that you actually care about me as a person first, or care about my passions or things of that nature? So
I think genuinely with many people.
Yeah. It sounds like, it almost sounds like to me like you're able to scale your success by scaling your personal development. Because it sounds like you actually, it's like failing fast or failing forward. So even though you recognize that you might have jumped into things prematurely or left prematurely, you were able to pivot.
Yeah, and sometimes defeats, losing or change, maybe it's not defeat, maybe it's a way for the change to be made.
Yeah, that's good.
Maybe that pivot is necessary.
Yeah.
So I may have some things I could have changed, but I think sometimes there are flashes, what I would say, flashes of brilliance that says, you know what, you're actually on the right track. Now, even though I might have been practicing this all along, but subconsciously, I learned or identified that the fundamental pathway to sales and business success started with investing in yourself first.
Yeah.
So personal development. So underperforming salespeople, anyone who's even a rookie. So I've developed courses now for beginners, intermediates, and advanced sales and reps and managers, is that you have to invest in yourself. If you're not prepared to actually invest in yourself, you will never actually truly realize how good you could have become.
Yeah.
What are the key principles that, if you're getting into sales and business, that can, drive you or steer you to greater levels of success?
What are those three?
Number one is knowing how to set goals. But actually the very first one is choosing a product that you love. So choosing a product or service, because if you don't, then are you truly going to be fully fulfilled, number one, or are you going to give it your all? So definitely choosing a product or service that you love. and then personal development for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
And what does that look like? What does that actually mean? Personal development, and then how to engage in that. And then number 3, which has also evolved into a subject in and of itself, which is goal setting.
Yeah. So what advice do you think you received, even if it was from, I believe you said his name was Paul, what advice did you receive that helped you lock in and helped you really manage setbacks and, or I guess, how did you even stay motivated through all the years of doing this?
One of the things while I worked with him, it's just like any other relationship in life, be it a relative, parent, friend, boss, co-worker. If somebody is genuinely really good to you, right, you actually try very hard not to piss that person off or to disappoint that person. So that was a huge thing for me, where he was very good to me. It was almost like he adopted me, because my dad passed away when I was very young.
Yeah.
So he was like a father figure, but a boss, but more of an advisor. And so when he passed away, I was one of the people they asked to speak as his service, as his mentee, because he mentored me basically for many years.
Was there anything that stuck out to you, like advice that you received from him that helped you just lock in and be like...
The thing about that advice is he didn't have to say much for you to pick it up. And you learned it because of how he treated other people. He
demonstrated it.
Yeah, he is renowned right now in our industry as one of the kindest, nicest, gentlest human beings who emulated respect and gratitude towards others. So those are things that you actually see and in practice, because he practiced it. He didn't have to really say much.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. So outside of work, because I know there's a lot of things we talked about work, I think it's important to have a balance, right?
I think it's important to be able to separate. Okay, and to be able to separate for me is sometimes being on an airplane where, for the most part, nobody can call me, knock my door, ring my phone, and I have a few hours of peace and quiet.
Yeah.
And so I like getting away in spaces like that where I'm disconnected for a little bit.
Yeah, I think we can be so focused on just wanting to succeed, or sometimes we can get so filled by succeeding so much that we don't take a step to unplug, but it's really important to unplug.
And my absolute passion as a hobby is airplanes, is aviation.
Yeah.
Yes. I have no problems traveling. I like, because I can do work on the plane. It's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
I get caught up with some stuff there. And yeah, so definitely that, working on finishing my second book as well. So
you have a title for that one? Are you letting people know yet?
I pretty much do. The sales mindset principles it's going to be something geared along that line. And then my third, which is actually written, but I got to figure out how to publish it, is the one on automotive lease, and that's more automotive specific. It's called the Lease Performance Blueprint.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, so if you're ready to unlock your full potential, head to thereidmethod.com. Don't waste any time.